Some machines change industries, but a few truly changed the world. The Boeing 707 was one of those game changers. It didn't just kick off the jetliner era, it transformed how we travel, explore, and dream about the world beyond our reach. Back in the early 1950s, flying was still a rare and exciting experience. Boarding a plane felt like a special occasion filled with a sense of luxury. Men wore suits, women dressed up in their best outfits, and flight attendants, then called stewardesses, moved gracefully through the aisles. But for all the glamour, air travel was slow, noisy, and often bumpy. The propeller-driven planes of that time, while impressive, felt outdated. Before the 707, Boeing wasn't the giant in commercial aviation that we know today. The company had made a name for itself with military aircraft like the B-52 Stratofortress, which played a crucial role in World War II, and the B-52 Stratofortress, which is still in use today. But commercial aviation? That was mostly in the hands of Douglas Aircraft, known for the DC-3 that revolutionized flying in the 1930s, and Lockheed, whose Constellation was the go-to for long-distance luxury after the war. However, Boeing's leadership sensed a shift on the horizon. Jet engines, once exclusive to military jets, were becoming more reliable and efficient. They promised speed and power that propeller planes simply couldn't offer. If someone could successfully introduce jet engines to commercial flying, they wouldn't just compete, they'd take the lead. Boeing was ready to take that risk. In 1952, they invested a staggering $16 million, a huge amount back then, into developing a jet-powered prototype called the Model 367 or Dash 80. It was a bold move, especially since no airline had placed an order yet. If it flopped, it could spell disaster for the company. The Dash 80 took to the skies on July 1954, proving that a jet-powered airliner was not just possible but practical. Still, there were doubts in the industry. Would passengers trust this new technology? Would airlines be willing to replace their expensive propeller planes? Then came a moment that would go down in aviation history. At the 1955 Seafair Air Show in Seattle, Boeing's chief test pilot, Alvin Johnston, took the Dash 80 for a demonstration flight in front of airline executives and government officials. They expected a standard display of the plane's capabilities. What they got was something unexpected. As the Dash 80 soared over Lake Washington, Johnston pulled off a full barrel roll in the massive jet. It was a move more suited to a fighter jet than a commercial airliner. The message was clear: the jet age had officially begun. Not long after, Pan American World Airways became the first airline to order Boeing's production jetliner, which would be based on the Dash 80 and named the Boeing 707. When the plane entered service with Pan Am on October 1958, flying from New York to Paris, it was nothing short of revolutionary. With speeds over 600 miles per hour, it nearly halved travel times. A journey that once took 15 hours could now be done in just over 6. The Atlantic Ocean, once a daunting barrier, now felt like a small pond. For passengers, this was a game changer. They no longer had to endure the constant roar of piston engines or the turbulence that came with slower flights. The 707 flew higher and smoother, making air travel feel truly modern. Airlines quickly took notice. Within a few years, nearly every major carrier added the 707 to its fleet. It wasn't just Pan Am's flagship, it became the face of the jet age. The 707 was more than just a plane. It was a symbol of what the future could hold. It represented speed, sophistication, and endless possibilities. It appeared on magazine covers, starred in Hollywood films, and even influenced music and culture. The term jet set became part of everyday language, describing a new kind of traveler, wealthy, worldly, and always on the go. Frank Sinatra captured the spirit of the time in his song, "Come Fly With Me," making everyone dream of far-off destinations. It was a 707 that brought the Beatles to America in 1964, marking the start of the British invasion. It served as Air Force One for decades, carrying presidents around the globe. Most importantly, it opened the door to global connectivity. Business deals that once took weeks to finalize could now be wrapped up in a day. Families separated by oceans could reunite easily. The world was no longer vast and distant. It became accessible and interconnected like never before. By the 1970s, it was clear that the 707's time was passing. Boeing had developed its successor, the 747, a giant that could carry twice as many passengers at a lower cost. Wide-body jets became the new norm, and the graceful 707 gradually faded from passenger service. But that wasn't the end of the 707's story. The aircraft found new life in military and cargo roles. The U.S. Air Force repurposed it as the Stratotanker, a crucial refueling aircraft still in use today. It was also adapted for reconnaissance, electronic warfare, and even as a test platform for new aviation technology. Even today, in the 21st century, a few 707s still fly. They may not dominate the skies like they once did, but their legacy is undeniable.